Okay, we all know it's being recorded now. Here we go. Thanks for joining us in our last series in the Roots of Oak Tree. Randall, would you mind opening us in prayer before we get started? Sorry, I just threw you on the spot. Gotta find unmute.
Oh, no, you're fine. I had to unmute myself for sure. So, let's pray. Father, we do just thank you just for our time today, Lord. We know that it is time that you have given us, Father. We pray that you will just guide this training, Father, and that your purpose and outcome, Father, of this training, Father, be met. And Lord, that you will just be with us, Father. And may your name be lifted up, Father, and that all that we do, Father, bring glory to your name. In Jesus' name I do pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So our hope in this training is that everybody can get a fuller picture of the vision of Oak Tree and what we do on the day-to-day, especially if people are only familiar with Bible Club or think we only do kids stuff, that we can kind of get a fuller picture of what we're doing. And in that, you can better understand even how your role, even if you're like, oh, I'm just there once a week, or I just pop in, or I'm just doing stuff with kids, that you can understand, like, that's not all you're doing. You're a part of something so much bigger. And so, that's our hope as we dive in here. So just a little review. When we started on our first series, the first Zoom call of this series, we were looking at gospel centered, and we looked at Isaiah 61 just to remember the founding passage of Oak Tree and who we are and what we do. And we looked at how Jesus' work, the gospel that passage starts out with, leads to a new people, which leads to a changed community. And so we were looking at verse 4. It says that they will rebuild the ancient ruins, restore the former devastations, and renew the ruined cities, the devastations of many generations. And so we talked about the why we do everything. The gospel is the foundation. It's the center of everything we do, because we believe God can renew people into right relationship with him, and through that heal other people. We talked about how do we do that? It's through trauma-informed practices, because we believe things have been devastated, right? There has been trauma. Our community historically and presently, if we better understand our historical trauma that has led us here, we can better get a grasp on the trauma that exists that we're walking in every day with our families. And how that impacts us and anyone who is living in Marks Village, how we're in that together. We're all impacted equally by our historical trauma. And so we believe that God can restore that. Sorry. And so today we are going to look at what do we actually do? What does it mean that we say we are a community support ministry? What does it look like to rebuild the ancient ruins? And so rebuilding is to make extensive repairs or changes, to reconstruct. The reality is, if you didn't get to watch our last two Zooms, jump back on those, and we can see that our current reality, like, the systems aren't working for our families, right? Things are not how they should be. And it's going to take more than just doing a few after school programs to change that, right? We need to be imagining a better world, a better society that reflects kingdom values as God's people. And so we're going to have to be creative and make extensive repairs. We're going to have to rebuild and reconstruct something completely new that reflects God's values in our society. And so that's what we're doing here at Oak Tree, just one little piece of the puzzle at a time, right? And so the reality is that there's a disconnect in Birmingham. You may have heard the studies, Birmingham is the second most Bible-minded city in America, the fifth most church state in America. I think that was the 2017 Barna study. And so I've heard that so many times. And so I just got curious, and I just started to try to look up, like, how many churches are in Birmingham? We all know there's a lot, right? But it was like, how many churches are in Birmingham? And there's over 1,000. It was next to impossible to give an exact number, and I didn't have time to count that far. But there's over 1,000 churches just in Birmingham city limits. That's all I'm talking about. And guys, this is the one that blew me away. There are over 6,000 nonprofits. Like, I knew there were a lot here too, but that's a lot. So the reality is there's not a lack of resources, and there is not a lack of God's people. The gospel's in Birmingham, right? But I think there's a limit in our understanding of the gospel. We've missed it because there's a disconnect. Because if we look at other statistics, like that 28% of Birmingham lives in poverty, that's 1 in 3.6 people in the Birmingham city limits that live in poverty. 70% of Birmingham residents are Black. In the church, if we read the book of Acts, the church was known for no one in the church having need, right? So there's a disconnect here. And that's 50% of children in Birmingham under the age of 6 are living in poverty. So if we have the why we do it, we have the gospel as the foundation. The church is here. Those nonprofits are out there doing things. Why are these numbers like this? So this is, we're a part of a new coalition that's forming to see how can we advocate for support of Birmingham City schools. And these are the stats that we learned at this last week while we were in this retreat, learning about how we're going to do this. So just look at those numbers. Mountain Brook over double what a Birmingham City student receives, right? And remember, if we looked at in the last training that we looked at that redlining history and how schools are funded by property taxes, we see that it's been set up with really big inequities here. So I was curious on this, how much money Alabama as a whole, because this is Birmingham Metro numbers. So Alabama, the most recent numbers that I could find, the average per student that is spent in the state of Alabama is $9,696, compared to Birmingham that has $4,236. And that poverty rate right there per student, 48.1%, compared to Mountain Brook 6.5. And that matches that same, again, the pictures of the maps of Birmingham that we looked at last time. And then I was curious, how much does Alabama spend per prisoner? $14,780 per prisoner. That's the average that Alabama spends. So again, I'm just seeing that there's a disconnect from what Alabama says are its values and where the dollars go. There's a disconnect from the massive number of believers that are in Birmingham and the impact on real life living conditions of the residents of Birmingham, Alabama, right? And so why do we do after school reading clubs? Why do we do these things? How is that a part of community support? Because we see these inequities here. So the state of Alabama overall is not doing great in its education system, right? We know that, but then it's even worse on our most vulnerable students here in Birmingham. So 24% reading proficiency for Birmingham City schools. There's inequity, right? There's something missing here. And so as the church, we say, this is not okay. So we step in and say, let's do after school programs. Let's try to connect, build relationships and support students so that they can better learn. But if we're not addressing the systems that they live within, if we're not addressing the inequities, if we're not looking at those things, we're getting a crumb of the cookie, right? Like these are big problems. And so I don't share all of this to be alarmist, but to be a realist, right? Like, this is why this work is so hard. This is why, if you've been with us here, you have days where you're discouraged and beating your head against the wall and saying, what are we doing? Because this is a long, big, complex issue, layers of issues that we are here to address. But we're stepping in to say, we're here. We want to learn. We want to know. We want to look at these really uncomfortable realities. We want to look at these statistics. We want to wrestle with, why is this like this? So for the past few months, I have been just wrestling through the idea of charity versus justice. And I think this is why there's a breakdown in Birmingham, because you saw we have over 6,000 nonprofits, right? We're really good at charity. And I was just curious, and I looked up the word charity in scripture, giving alms, taking care of the poor, and that word is only used a handful of times in scripture. But justice is a running theme that's used hundreds of times in scripture. And so I started to think about it. I think this is where the disconnect is, because we have believed that the gospel is an individual good news for a future reality. We have missed the part of the gospel that is centered on justice, that you can't fully have righteousness without justice, right? So these things go together, and they are the foundation of God's throne. He says, justice and righteousness are the foundation of my throne. But we're really good at loving and volunteering and giving generously, but we're not addressing the imbalance, right? And so if we're thinking of justice, we touched on this a little in the past training, so I'm not going to dive on into it. But if we're looking at justice from an American punishment system, right? That sounds like bad news, but that's not biblical justice. Biblical justice is making things right, making things accessible for the least of these, who are the most vulnerable in the community, and how do God's people protect them? How do God's people provide for them, right? And so I was just thinking, okay, so charity, it's focused on an individual. It is. You see somebody, they're in need, they're asking for money. I can give you $5, right? Or I can buy you a coffee and sit down and hear your story. I can, buy you a cheeseburger. It's focused on short-term relief. There's nothing wrong with that. We need charity, right? We are called to do that. We are called to love people where they're at and when we see them, and to meet immediate needs when they're there. But justice focuses on the long-term solutions, and it's communally focused. You can't do justice on your own, all right? We're looking at systems, we're looking at our society, we're looking at our values and our culture, and saying, who needs advocated for, who needs access, and who has more, and how can we support one another? And so this is where I think there's just a breakdown. And so this is why I think we have the what or the why in Birmingham, right? But we don't have the how. We don't have that trauma-informed perspective, and we're not having what we're doing. We're not having a bigger picture of justice and full community support, which includes the church, which includes those who are giving, right? We are part of the community. We can't separate ourselves and have this us and them, right? They need us. That never leads to justice, right? That leads to the same people having the solutions or having the resources and having the power, and not ever sharing that and saying, oh, what do I have to learn from the community here that I'm here to help? What do I have to learn? What do they have to offer me? How do we link arms and do this together? And so it's not easy. This is a lot more complex. It's a lot more messy. It's a lot more controversial. And so it's a lot easier to do charity, right? We might feel good at the end of the day and think we've done something, but then tomorrow we get up and that same issue hits us right in the face again. And we question, we're like, what good am I doing, right? When will it ever end? And in my mind, it was because I wrestled with this. I'm like, we're putting a Band-Aid on over and over and over, but we need deep healing. How do we get there? And so we're not entering this training saying we have all the answers at all. But we are saying we want to have a realistic understanding of what's in front of us. And we believe that we can link arms and we can walk steps towards justice together. So John Perkins, who again has been foundational in teaching us at Oak Tree, says justice is any act of reconciliation that restores any part of God's creation back to its original intent, purpose, or image. So again, we're looking at restoration, renewal, rebuilding, those words, right? Justice is bigger than our criminal justice system. It's bigger than discipline. It is setting things right and being, how can we point to the future reality of the restoration of all things right now? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. How can we be a part of that right now? God's people are meant to show the hope that Jesus cares, right? And that he can restore all things. So that's the foundation of everything. We are going to, we're going to look at the complexity of what it means to be community support right now. Could we survive if we were living in poverty in America? And some of us may have come from there. I had questions when I first did this simulation, but we're going to do it together. Karina's going to lead us through this simulation. And just so participation time, you're going to have to make decisions to see what would it look like if we step in someone else's shoes? What does it look like for a large percentage of Americans that are just trying to make it in the day-to-day? What does this look like for us? So I'm going to get this up and I'm going to mute myself so Karina can kind of take over. Did that swap screens for y'all? Can you see?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
So a ministry in Durham created this challenge, but it's a really good simulation of what it would be like for you to live, what poverty looks like. So over 14 million people don't have a job. And I'm sure this was pre-COVID, so these statistics have probably changed. But now this simulation is like saying that we're down to our last $1,000. How can we make it through the month? So our first step is to find a job. And so we've got 3 different jobs that we can try to get. First job is at a warehouse. It's the second shift. So you get, the starting rate is $9 an hour and the shift is between 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. The next job is a restaurant. So the hours vary and the starting rate is $2.13 an hour, but you get plus tips. So you don't know how much money you're going to make weekly. So it's going to be hard to budget. And then the next job is for an office temp. So yeah, you got $9 an hour. Hours vary, but it's a temp. So you could be working one office one day, and then they might not need you for a couple days, and then go to another office for another 2 weeks. So what job do y'all want to have?
I want to take the warehouse job.
Yeah. Anybody disagree with that? Okay, warehouse job it is.
It's the most money, but the reliable transportation, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and it's also going to be a tear on your body too, but we picked that one. So so now that we've got this job there, it's going to be good for us to stay healthy because they're going to be doing a lot of manual labor. So our monthly take-home pay is going to be $1,224, and the weekly pay is going to be $306 a week. So first big decision, we have to get health insurance. Good news is the state does cover insurance for kids, but not for adults. So what plan do we want? The gold plan, which is $329 a month, plus a $15 copay. The silver plan is $268 a month, but a $25 copay. The bronze plan is $232 a month, a $40 copay. Or we cannot have insurance, but we'll have to pay $12 a month, and copay will be, if we ever have to go to the hospital, we'll have to pay the full price. Any
Let's go silver.
silver plan? Okay,
I'd
Do-
probably opt out.
yeah,
I mean, if I'm in good health, I'd probably opt out or go for the bronze. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's just me.
I was actually in this situation a few years ago, and I chose to opt out. It was right after they got rid of the penalty. So we're between, let's just choose the bronze plan. That's right in the middle between silver and opting out.
Yeah, and I opted out too. That was my life.
The result, even though the most basic plan under the Affordable Care Act covers more than what you could have gotten before, but at almost $60 a paycheck, there's no free ride. So the second decision that we have to make is where to live. So we can choose to live closer to work, but pay more, but our transportation cost is going to be little, or we can have less rent, but spend more money in transportation.
How much was it on the other side?
So rent close to home is $850. So you're looking at a total cost of $855. And then if you live far away, your total cost will be $760. So that's like a $90 difference.
I would choose to live right next to work so that if your car is like broken down or something, you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, you still have your job.
But right now you only have $1,000, so that's leaving you with $145 until payday. So where do y'all want to live?
Well, it doesn't make sense to live 50 miles away.
Yeah,
So you've got to come closer in
yeah.
my opinion.
How much money, I guess, would y'all feel comfortable leaving in your bank account? Like a $200, $150? Like, where's your comfort level?
Can I get a roommate?
In real life, yes. Well, but I mean, in real life, you also have a kid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in this life, you have a kid. So, I mean, some people do have roommates with kids, but then you're like, you don't know how safe those people are going to be, what influence they're going to have on your children.
Tough choices, right? Not really a way to win.
Yeah.
Anybody want to make a final call?
Just in the middle.
Okay. Perfect. So we chose to live farther away from our job, so our rent is lower, but your gas costs are higher. In fact, for every dollar a working family saves on housing, they spend an additional 77 cents on transportation. So, okay. Your new apartment is too small for all your stuff. What do you want to do? Rent a storage unit for $45 a month, have a yard sale. We could ask a friend to store it, but then we'll actually have to post that to Facebook. And I don't know if we really want to do that.
You can do it without actually doing the status.
Oh, okay.
A yard sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We sold a bunch of stuff, but only made $150. Okay. A family friend sends your child a card. Inside is $10. What do you want to do? Give your child the $10 or you keep the $10 for yourself?
You have to give it to the child.
Well, you can put it in like a little savings for them for later on.
Yeah. But that's not really not an option.
Well, you'd have to be able to get a savings account, and that may not be possible.
Yeah.
Or explain to the child that the purpose of the $10 is for the new shoes or new clothes, or which could be fun. I mean, they could be gratifying for the child, but it wouldn't be wasted.
Yeah. So you're saying that we'll keep the $10 and then find some excuse to invest it back in the child.
Or to tell the child, hey, wow, this $10 is yours, and what it's for is for new shoes or whatever the thing may be.
Okay, so
Give it to them and help them make a wise choice with it.
yeah, not fireworks. Okay, so we decided to give the child the $10. Okay, one of your coworkers has gotten seriously ill. Because your company doesn't offer sick days, everyone is contributing $20 to help her out. What do you want to do? Pitch in or say you forgot your wallet?
I would say definitely pitch in, because if they do this for someone else, then you could receive it back yourself when you're sick.
Anybody disagree with that? Okay. Your child's class is going on a field trip to the Natural History Museum. The trip costs $15. What do you do? Pay the money or don't pay the money? We've got $322 in the bank.
Ask if there are scholarships.
Yes. Yeah, this was a decision we faced all the time because we couldn't afford anything like this. And it's a very difficult thing to tell your child that you can't do it. But yeah, asking for scholarships, good.
Yeah. So on the side, we do have options to bust open the piggy bank, donate plasma, or get a payday loan. So do we want to use one of these to
Well, your child could use the $10 and then you only have to cough up 5 of it. If you know.
Yeah. So we could
if you haven't spent it on shoes yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the kid has $16. The kids have it, so the kid can pay for it.
It's also not a life or death thing for a child to miss going to the Natural History Museum either.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, a lot of museums like this are actually free with just like a giving. And if we lived close to downtown originally, we could just walk our kid over on a Saturday and go for free.
It could inspire them to study hard to get a scholarship. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, scholarship's not an option on the game.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and even on that, like sometimes it's really hard for parents to humble themselves to ask for a handout, right? Or is that mentality of, I don't want to ask for a handout, or I don't want to be a charity case. But yeah.
So
I didn't even know you could do these things in the corner.
For the purpose of the game, are we saying that we're not going to pay it?
No, I want to donate plasma because you can do that pretty frequently.
Yeah, and there's one right around the corner here. Our neighbors do that every week, some of them. So, or every 2 weeks. I don't remember what it was. Okay, we can donate plasma.
And we'll donate plasma, and then we'll pay for them to go. Okay, our bathroom sink has a small leak. that just became a big leak. Your landlord won't return your calls and you can't put it off any longer. Do we call a plumber for $150 or do we try to fix it ourselves?
Try to fix it.
Yeah.
Fix.
Yeah, go to YouTube and figure out.
Call Randall and have him come fix it.
Yeah.
Home improvement is cheaper when you do it yourself, but not free. Supplies still put you out $50. Okay. Our coat is in tatters. A neighbor notices and stops by to offer you their hand-me-down coat. What do you do? Take the coat or turn it down? This is gonna be a humbling.
Depending on how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Not the hand down, but how you feel about your coat. You may like it. So just
Yeah.
hold on to
I
it.
like my tattered coat.
Yeah.
It may also be affected by like how you feel about this person and like the dynamics, like kind of the power play or whatever dynamics between you and that particular person.
What are they gonna expect from you later?
Yeah.
Yep. Not as easy of an answer, huh?
Mm-mm.
I would take the coat.
Yeah.
Real quick.
I would
probably.
Yeah.
take it.
Payday, woohoo! Got $530. Okay. On the way to drop your kid off at school, something blew in your car. You don't know what's wrong, but it can't be good. So what do we want to do? Pay to fix it, $300. Get it towed for $50, or leave it and take the bus, $5. Or ask a friend for help.
Well, you have to get the kid to school first, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing would be get the kid to school on the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I really wish we were living like right there close to work. And
Well, you can do this again. I'll send you the link. You can do it.
For groceries, if we lived up there by the work.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll just take the bus.
Okay. You could come back and your car is then in tatters because you left it on the side of the road and people saw a free opportunity, which is what happened to me.
Your stress level is through the roof these days. A friend who hears you're venting offers you a cigarette to take the edge off. What do? Light up or say no to drugs?
Say no.
Which is easy to do
Let's say no.
unless you already have an addiction, right?
Yeah.
And you're stressed and there's triggers and all of that. But
One of the main reasons people start smoking is adult stress. There is a misconception that smoking relieves stress. So some people pick up the habit during difficult periods or life transition.
really expensive habit too.
Mm-hmm. And then you get addicted and then all your extra money or all your money goes to feeding that habit. Your company has introduced an option where instead of being paid by the hour, you can be paid by the piece. What do you want to do? Stay with an hourly paycheck or opt for the pay for piece system?
What's paid by the piece?
So like with each item you move, you would get paid a certain amount of money. So like if you are staying healthy or whatever and can constantly lift more, it could be a good opportunity. But if you're really tired one day or sick, then you might not be able to move as much.
Or throw your back out.
Yeah.
Or there could be things beyond your control where they don't give you that many pieces that day to move.
Yeah.
Mm.
So there's risk and opportunity with one, but the other one, you know what you're getting every week.
In general, I feel like my life lessons have been to go for risk and opportunity. But I certainly understand that other people don't feel that they can take the risk. So it's I know what I would do, but
Yeah.
I
And
get
that's the
it.
difference if you
It's-
know if you have a support system to fall back on, right?
Yeah.
I still gonna bail you out.
Yeah, I just feel like with the responsibility for the kid that I need a regular paycheck, something I can count on.
Yeah.
Your hourly pay is higher than your coworkers who opted for the pay for the P system, but your supervisor cuts your hours to balance things out. Your future paychecks will be half the size.
What?
We should have listened to you, Nancy.
But I mean, in reality, you probably would have been in the same spot.
Right.
It sounds like it was a way for the employer to get a little less payout.
Keep more money for themselves.
But it's just out of your control. Employers can just, if you're working on minimum wage, employers can kind of make those rules.
Yeah. So we've got $525 and 2 bills are due today. So we can pay the cell phone bill, which is $75, or the car insurance is the $100, or we can pay them both. I mean,
Do we really have a car anymore?
We didn't fix that car.
I mean, we still have it. It just doesn't work.
I mean, we left it someplace.
So do you just want to pay the cell phone bill then?
Yeah, I would say pay just the cell phone bill until our car is actually fixed and we can drive it. Couldn't you go without paying a month without like you would just not have insurance for that month? Could you like drop it and pick it back up? Is that possible?
How are we getting to
It
work right now?
depends. Yeah.
The bus?
Yeah, it depends on the insurance company because some could give you a penalty, like a late penalty, and some could pause it. It just kind of depends on that. So,
Pay both.
I mean, our car could be fixed. I don't know.
I mean, I would only pay for what I'm using. You know, I pause
Yeah.
streaming subscriptions. If I'm not using it, let me just pause that until the next good show comes out. So
Yeah. Stick with phone. Any objections? Scary to be without car insurance.
Yeah. Your phone will stay on, but you better drive carefully. In tough economic times, the rates of uninsured drivers rise. Not because people don't care about insurance, but because, like you, they can't afford it. So now we have a bill for $125 right here in this corner. And that if we get more money, we can pay to make it go away. Money may be tight, but you have to eat. Remember, these groceries need to last you a few weeks. What do you want to buy? So we've got apples for $4 per pound, beans, 1 can, $1, ramen noodles, a 4-pack for $1, carrots, $3, cereal, $4, cheese, $3, chicken, $7, but 3 pounds, fish sticks, $3, drink mix, $1, tomatoes, $3, bread, $2, spaghetti, $3, paper towels for $2, peanut butter, $4, orange juice, 1 gallon for $5, milk, 1 gallon for $4, hot dogs, $1, eggs, $2, spaghetti sauce, $3, and toilet paper for $4. So definitely beans.
yeah, they're high in fiber
Yeah.
and protein.
Definitely toilet paper.
Yes.
Spaghetti.
Ramen.
I assume.
The ramen and the spaghetti.
I guess check in for some protein.
Mm.
Yeah, I would go definitely
The
vegetarian.
vegetarians say beans.
Because it's
Well, how much does that cost them?
But the milk, since you've got a kid,
Yeah,
it's got the calcium, protein, it's good for them all around. I would say eggs instead of chicken.
Yeah.
Cheaper. Might fill you up less. Oops. Well, now we've got 2 bags of chicken. I can't take it off. Sorry. I don't know how to do that. I tried to
I
re-click
guess
it.
you
and
can clear
just
it, but
Yeah. We can clear
Oh.
this weekend.
Apples.
Okay, hang on.
Oh, I
Here,
think that
We do
apples
it
are
all.
so expensive.
I go back to where were we?
And we can get like the spaghetti sauce. Peanut butter and bread. Like that's it's more filling than cereal, I feel like.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
staple lunch for your kid going to school. Wait, do they have free lunch at school?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Hopefully, yes.
But you
Based on this
have their sandwiches at
Based on
lunch.
this income, yes. We'll see if we get to that question, but there is a question about that. Yeah, so we're at 24 bucks. Groceries are more expensive if you're in the city or not next to like an Aldi, you know, and especially if now you're taking the bus and you don't have your own car.
Can we just add apples? I mean, I know it's not like
Yes.
super filling, but
It would be like a good dessert.
Yeah, apples are important.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Okay, we feel good about that?
No. Do we think this is going to
Alright.
last us a few weeks?
No.
Should we get like maybe a few more cans of beans?
We'll
Yeah,
give you the chicken, Jason. I feel like this is
Yes.
not fair. Okay.
Okay.
What about that?
Yeah.
Okay. If we can find a food bank to, you know,
Yeah.
fill in the
help
extra
support.
gaps, that'd be good.
Almost 15% of American households had a hard time getting enough to eat at some point during 2012. So just, I mean, during the pandemic, I'm sure those numbers were extremely higher.
Well, actually, I think with the number of increase in food distribution
Mhm.
locations going up like crazy during the pandemic, it kind of filled some of those gaps. But it makes you think, what about the people who are going through that all the time, right?
Yeah.
Because that started to fade back down now. The
Extra.
farmers to take, what was the, anyways,
The USDA.
yeah, they had an extra thing where they were rescuing food from the farmers because it was going down in the pandemic. Anyway.
Okay. Your head is pounding and you're burning up, but you have to be at work in an hour. What do? Call in sick or go anyway? As long as it's not
Or you don't
COVID.
Yeah.
Or going
It has
anyway.
different. Yeah. Because remember, you don't get sick days.
You cut your hours already.
You have to go to work. You just have to
Yeah.
go.
yeah, I draw the line at barfing. That's not on the list.
Now we know why COVID spreads so rapidly.
Right? Yeah. Like you,
We
more
can't
than-
work from home.
Yeah.
not a warehouse. Yeah. Like you, more than 40 million working Americans do not get paid sick leave. So like you, they go to work even when they probably should have. Your best friend from childhood is getting married and they want you to be in the wedding. The only problem is it's in another state. Do we fly to the wedding and pay $350, which is generous because that's not including the gift and the parties and the dress or suit that you have to wear? Or say you can't go.
There you go.
You only got $414.
Yeah.
Yep.
Payday.
I paid.
And now I could have gone.
Yeah. $509. What we have left. Your family pet is sick and won't get better without treatment. What do? Pay for treatment, $400, have it put to sleep, $50, or let your pet suffer.
Or surrender it to the animal shelter.
Yeah.
Which would be the free option, so let it suffer.
Yeah.
And
That's
I mean,
true.
in reality, country living, it was they
Take
go
it
out in
out
the
back,
woods
yeah.
and you just don't talk to dad for a few hours. But city living,
Yeah, we used to treat our animals like animals.
it's hard, especially if you do have, you know, it's like your support animal there on your little piece. But okay, are we agreed to What suffer? Or what we would do is YouTube, Google treatments at home, and try to do stuff on our own instead of go to the vet. But
You can put it to sleep or let it suffer.
everybody got real quiet now. Nobody wants to be that guy.
Go ahead. Let that poor little thing suffer, Karina.
Yeah. And we'll suffer together. So your college degree isn't helping you right now, but you still have to pay your loans. You just got a bill for $250. What do you want to do? You want to pay it or ignore it?
No, ignore it.
Ignore it.
I'm gonna dismiss it anyway.
Yeah.
Next month's problem.
Unemployment has hit college grads hard. The student loan default rate is 14.7%, the highest it's been in over 2 decades. Your mom needs crucial medication but doesn't have the $100 she needs to buy it. What do you do? Give it to her or say no? It's one thing to let your pet suffer, another thing to let your mom
I say, give it to her.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give it
Yep.
to 'em.
You're walking into work when someone approaches you in the parking lot. They want to organize a union and push for better pay. What do you want to do? Talk to
walking.
them or keep walking?
Keep walking because you potentially lose your job. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work out so great in Bessemer, did it?
Mm-mm.
I would talk to them someplace else, in secret.
Like drop your address on the ground next to that phone number.
Like you, many low-income workers would rather keep quiet than push for better working conditions because they don't want to risk losing their jobs. Hit it right on the head, Randall. Your child has been identified as gifted and invited into the school's gifted program. The materials for the course cost $50. Do we pay the money, apply for a scholarship, or decline the opportunity?
Scholarship.
There it is.
Finally. To get the scholarship, you have to meet with a counselor in person, which will cost you half a day at work and earn you a job strike.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if that's worth it.
Yeah. Got
Oh,
one
well.
out of 3. Your car's registration is due. It'll cost $250 to get it road legal. What do you want to do? Pay the money or take our chances?
Are we assuming that our car is drivable now?
I don't
Yeah,
think
it looks
that's
like it.
taking into account the fact that we chose to leave our car unfixed on the side of the road.
Yeah. No, it's we asked a friend after riding the bus, and so we've got it drivable now. So we've been trudging along because we haven't been paying the bus fare.
And I mean, we still don't have insurance on it. So
Do we have to prove insurance to get our registration?
I was gonna say you can't get it there.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not available.
So it's $125 if we want to jump back on with our insurance. So then that's $400. We would have $9 left.
So take your chances right now. I mean,
yeah.
Mhm.
you gotta have the insurance to get it registered.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got, well, I guess the registration is obvious that cops might pull you over. Because I was gonna say, like, if a cop pulled you over, they realize you didn't have insurance, but I guess the registration would be a reason to pull you over.
Yeah. But I did see an article like the other day where someone like hadn't got their registration done since like 2007 or something. And the guy was the response was like, I've been busy. And the cop just like let him off. So
I'm more
Yeah,
likely to be
you
pulled
should
over in this situation though.
yeah, you are more likely to, yeah. So you'll save money in the short term, but you'll have to pay a $100 late fee for waiting. If you get pulled over, we're looking at a $1,500 fee to get our car back. So we've got unpaid bills going on right here. Our income level qualifies us for food stamps. What do we want to do? Apply or go hungry? Yeah. The good news is you've been approved for benefits. The bad news, they don't begin until next month. Payday.
Making it.
Yeah. A little exercise goes a long way, both for keeping you healthy and relieving stress. You need to start a regular fitness regimen because remember, we work at a warehouse. So we can join a gym for $25 a month. We can ask a friend to be a running buddy, or we can just put it off.
Running, but
Run by myself.
Mhm. Well, hang on.
This isn't factoring in childcare though, running with someone, your child is somewhere.
The
Yeah.
child runs
That's
with
not
us.
stress relief.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
we don't go to work till noon, so that'll work out.
Yeah. Good job remembering that. Your repetitive work you do is taking a toll. Your back hurts so badly you can barely stand, and it's only the beginning of your shift. It's because we started working out again. What do you want to do? Submit a workers' comp complaint, work through the pain, or take the day off?
Workman's comp is gonna bite you in the butt. I would think we'd have to work through the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and management remembers if you file a workman's comp.
yeah,
They remember.
yeah, run the risk of losing your job because they just they don't like that.
I learned that the hard way, yeah.
You weren't paying attention and you broke something as you were putting it into a box. What do? Pay $25 to cover the broken item or hide the evidence?
Just pay for it.
Pay for it.
You gotta pay for it.
Oh crap.
During a routine traffic stop, a police officer spotted your expired registration tags. Your car has been impounded and will plus $1,500 to get back. Pay the money or give up your car.
They get caught. I mean, it's just
We ain't got the money.
Yeah. Even if we busted,
Pay
got
the
it,
alone $50.
we need another $1,000. So
Yeah, if we give up the car too, those other bills will go away, right?
Maybe.
maybe, or it'll just be like another bill. No car means you can't get to work, which means you're out of a job. You won't get any more paychecks, so your money is really going to have to stretch.
We can't take the bus anymore?
Well, maybe we just remember we're like 60.
Yeah. Your kid has a friend over. When you hear the tail sound of an ice cream truck, they both run over to the truck. What do you want to do? Buy some ice cream or say no? $5.
and no.
Bust the piggy bank open and say buy your own money.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
$16, wow.
They've got $16 in their piggy bank, so
Yeah.
they like. There we go. We're at 463. We need a little treat to make up for this bad week.
Yeah. Without warning, your landlord has raised your rent effective immediately. When you argue that the increase is legal, you told if you don't like it, you can move out. Pay it $150, find somewhere else to live, or ask a friend for help.
Man, it's so expensive to move.
Mm-hmm.
You got deposits, you got moving fees for all the utilities.
Mhm.
You got to pay like the last month rent,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't have a choice but to pay it.
or we can ask a friend for help.
Can we move close to work now?
We don't have a job though.
Yeah, we need to get
Doesn't matter
a
where-
job close to the new apartment. Okay, want to
There's
try
only
to?
2 days left, but next month
We've never tried
Yeah,
that.
we're making. You're right. We're making it close. We did. We asked people for help on the last one, but we
doesn't
are.
really
We're
help
almost,
though. There's like
oh, we
more
don't have.
proof. I don't know.
We don't have a payday coming up. I just realized, like, oh, we're almost to the next payday. We're almost to the end of the month, but
But we don't have a payday.
So,
Yeah, and I mean, if the rent was what, $809, and now it's going to be $959, we are going to have to find somewhere else to live anyways because we can't afford.
that's true.
yeah.
Yeah, but we have to have time to make that decision. We can't just,
Yeah.
because now we know our mom's alive, so if it's.
Yeah. So we'll go for ask a friend.
Yeah.
Might moved in. Okay, let me go back here though, because I'm not.
You've been experiencing some sharp pains in your chest lately and your family has a history of heart problems. Get it checked out or ignore it. $45 to go to the doctor.
I think most people ignore it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's probably.
I mean,
panic
who-
induced.
Who would not
I mean, you have a
chest
history
pain?
of heart problems. And I mean, a lot of times people ignore it and then it turns out to be something serious.
But I'm just thinking of how most people I have known in my life, they
Yeah.
generally ignore that.
And it just gets worse.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anybody say no, we're going to the doctor now? But
Well, because you'd be thinking it's $45 to get it checked out, but then what are they going to do? Put me in the hospital? I mean, I can't afford that. I can't go to the hospital.
yeah.
You
Or
get some insurance, but
Mhm.
Don't have a job anymore, so we lost our insurance.
yeah,
well, no, it's the insurance.
through the insurance.
we need to go through Obamacare though.
No. Yeah, it was
Oh, it
through
was
the
here, Mom.
Affordable
You're
Care
right.
Act.
Yeah, I thought it was awfully expensive to be going through work.
Well, it was $60 a month, which is cheaper than regular insurance, which is like $400 a month. So
Are you getting
risk
it
it
checked
since
out?
we've got affordable care.
I mean, me personally, I would always go because
Oh, I would definitely,
Yeah,
I would definitely go.
Me
I got a kid
personally,
too.
I
So
am learning to go because I've always ignored it. But that's how what survival was passed down through our family is you ignore it. and
I'm
keep
just,
going.
I'm just trying to think as not me right now. I'm trying to think of somebody, I have been this
Yeah.
person's desperate situation and you make really poor decisions.
But
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah, because you're freaked out.
I tell you reality.
Yeah.
It's complicated because something we have battled with
Yeah.
Mhm.
before, even with insurance,
Yeah.
because it depends on what kind of insurance you have, and it say like, hey, if you go, it's like, oh, I can't afford the copay, or I can't afford to go to the emergency room because it's $400 if I go into the emergency room for, heart pain or chest pain. So even with insurance or without insurance, still a complicated thing. And that's
And then
where
if you put it
the
off-
decision come from. You say like, well,
Yeah.
I just not go because I can't afford to pay like ER visit or the copay. So
Yeah. And if you put it off, which is what the majority of people will do, and then you get taken in an ambulance, not by your choice or your timing, and that ambulance bill is on top of the ER bill, on top of all the medical procedures, and it just, so again, there's not a way to win.
Yeah.
Also thinking I could pay the $45 and it's nothing. It's just stress and I've just wasted that money.
Right.
And then you're gonna pile on shame and guilt on yourself for taking some possible food from your kids. And so you're gonna try to tell yourself it's nothing, I'm stressed because I have to figure out a new place to live and I just lost my job. So, all right, final vote. I think this is our last decision. Want to get
All in favor of ignoring it, raise your hand.
I'm not in favor of ignoring it, but it seems like
but that's what.
Who's gonna,
Yeah,
who
that's
wants to
okay.
choose to ignore? 1, 2. Who wants to go
All right,
get it checked out? 1, 2.
I'll say get checked out. That's me.
Okay.
Go.
The doctor says you're fine, and since you opted in for health insurance, you only have to pay $45.
Well, see, now I'm ashamed.
it's to that money.
Bless the
That's not
Lord,
good.
though.
If you get peace of mind, stress is what was causing it, and now you can
Mhm.
reduce that stress a little bit by knowing that you're okay.
Yeah. We did pretty good, guys.
Yeah, we've got $413 left, but rent is $800, $900 tomorrow, and we don't have it.
So we're almost tomorrow, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we made it through today, but tomorrow is another question.
Yep. Okay, can you guys see this again?
Yeah.
Oh, the right screen. Okay. Yep. We're good.
Mhm.
Yeah. So does anybody want to just share what kind of emotions you're feeling going through that process? Anything running through your head you want to?
For me, it's flashbacks. That's
Yeah,
a
I'll say that's pretty much the details of my life sometimes. I'm just being honest. So it's not foreign to me, I tell you that.
Me too. I did not have a child, but I also had no one. There was no safety net.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anybody else?
It's a whole different mindset from what I've had.
Oh, say that, Jason.
I mean, it's completely different from my experience. So it's just, I'm automatically, you can see why it just can seem futile and hopeless.
Yeah.
This is very relatable to what our residents face every day. Like, I was just like, this happened, like, just talking to someone where some of these situations have happened.
Yeah. So when you sit with someone and say, yep, either decision that you make, there's going to be, you try to write out the pros and cons list and say which one's longer. And yeah, and it's when I first, actually, Dimity's daughter sent us this game soon when I started working at Oak Tree, and Haley and I did it separately. And yeah, for me, it was, this is my child. That's how I make decisions still. And so I survived at the end, like, very easily. And I was like, wait, what was the point in this? Like, I missed it. And then I turned around and Haley was like dead within 2 minutes. And I was like, what? And so I had to talk with her to understand that, yeah, people grow up in different worlds and different economic situations. And she was laughing. I don't know if she's gonna be mad at me for saying this, but she said, the only way I can survive is I throw out all of my morals and all of my wisdom in making decisions. And I was like, okay. And it made me just think of how do we as Americans place people's, we would never say it, but the way that we associate poverty or wealth with good or bad, or wisdom or not wisdom, right? Like, that's just how our society does it, right? And so that pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and if you work harder, it's not to say we shouldn't work hard, but do you feel like you were working hard in that game? You were working hard. There was individual responsibility, but that individual also lives in a society that has rules and has fees and has things that work against them. All right. If you think about, okay, I was just late on my bill and now I have to pay a late fee. That's not hurting anyone except for the people who are struggling. Right. If you think about minimum wage and the average rent cost, there's just ability to make it or not. Right. That doesn't it's what we're born into. Yes, we in America, we have the ability to change class or caste throughout our lives. We might live in different ones in different seasons of our lives, because that's been my story. I'm not where I am, but the first college graduate in my family, right? And so there's been a different path and different opportunity, but that didn't happen. That happened over generations. Right. And so if we look at our community with generations who are living in public housing, trying to work out, and if work your way out, if we don't understand some of the systems, if we don't have the ability to step in with empathy, say, what is it like making decisions like this? Right. And so if we think of from a teacher's perspective, you're trying to plan field trips or educational things for your kids, and you can never get through to mom on the phone, it can be really easy to assume this parent is not involved and they don't care. But they might not see that this parent is working 3 jobs trying to make it, and they didn't pay their phone bill this month because they wanted to make sure their kid had clothes instead, right? And so without thinking about it, we can naturally have some of these judgments, not because we're bad or we're mean, but because we only see a piece of the puzzle, right? We see a parent that's hard to get in touch with and we feel like they're not involved, and we see a child that is acting out with behavior, and there can be some blame and some judgment instead of, oh, this is some survival behaviors, right? And so I hope that exercise, and we can send this link after if you want to play around with it some more, but this exercise can help us grow in empathy and grow in curiosity to say what we see on the surface might not be as simple as we think, right? And to even just grow in complexity of the way that we think things, right? Because again, individual versus communal. How do we look at what is deemed normal or good, or what is fair in all of these things, right? To see that our broader views as a community impact those who are struggling the most. And also, I'm going to send at the end of this a little worksheet that you can just do in your own time, but it's from the book Framework for Understanding Poverty, and it lists out skills or assets from people that live in poverty, people that live in middle class, and people that live in wealth. What are the things that we put on our resume, right? What are the things that we we need to know to survive in our different classes, right? So, and I would argue there's lower middle class and upper middle class, right? That I don't think is just poverty. I think there's some overlap in that lower middle class, but which again, in America and even the word poverty, there's complications, right? We're not talking about the same kind of poverty that we see in different parts of the world, but it's still poverty, and there's almost a more slap in the face reminder of it every day when you're living surrounded by American abundance, right? But yeah, so what are strengths? What are things that we say are valuable on a resume? And then we look at a community that's in poverty and we say they just need to learn from everyone who has all of these great skill sets on their resume. So we're teaching people this is what they need, even in academia, even in higher education. Here's the skills that you need to know in order to survive in middle class and wealth. But a lot of those skill sets are absolutely useless in our world, in the day-to-day survival in poverty and on the streets, right? And so how can we shift to say, wow, what are the skills and the assets and the survival skills that are here in our community? We say, oh, we need to learn from those. And how can those should be on your resume, right? Like, how can we reshift our value systems where we say, oh, you have skills and you have something to offer and you have something to share with me. And to see, okay, that skill, I didn't know the importance of it or the need of it because I didn't have a value or I didn't have a place for it in my life. But that doesn't mean that it's not something incredibly essential that we could learn from, that this person has, that they've been able to cope and move throughout the world and survive. So I just wanted to share all that to, again, just hopefully engage us in some practice of empathy and expanding how we look at things to see it's a little more complex. I love this quote from Anne Voskamp, and I just wanted to share it as we're thinking about this. So she says, the only way to care for the disadvantaged is to disadvantage yourself, which is guaranteed to turn out for your advantage. What if we gave up charity for solidarity? What if we gave up giving from the top down and gave ourselves in reaching out, less like the vertical and more like the horizontal beam of the cross, all on the same beam, all of us in need of the cross, all with our own crosses. And so that's the heart that we want to be practicing here at Oak Tree, is to say, let's stop with the top down. You need me. I have something for you. And let's put ourselves all on that same horizontal beam of the cross. We all need God, but we all need each other. And what if we step and learn to say, this isn't about charity, this is about solidarity. Let's learn about justice, and let's say together we all need Jesus and we all need one another. And how could that simple shift, moving from this idea of just charity into community justice, how that might change the way that we engage at Oak Tree. So some of the things that we do at Oak Tree, we're just going to give you, I'll let each team member share it a little bit. But the focus that we're always saying here is that this is about mutually transformative relationships. We're all on that horizontal beam. We realize we have something that God wants to teach us here. God wants to change us and our hearts and our views and our beliefs and our place in society. He wants to shift all of that to have these kingdom mindsets as we love our neighbors. And so what we're doing here at Oak Tree is neighboring. We are here to be neighbors. That means people walk up and we're here to say, hey, yeah, you need a cup of sugar? Let's sit down and have a cup of coffee. In that game, you saw every day there was something new, right? That's the reality for our neighbors. Every day, something new. We don't know what our neighbor across the street is going to be going through this week, but we know that we're going to be here so that, like Becky, you said earlier, you didn't have that support system around, right? For our community, it doesn't mean that they don't have family or that their family's not there or that people aren't around them. But if everyone in your support system is going through the same struggles as you, you don't have that community to fall back on. They're risk every day, but you don't have that safety net, kind of like Nancy, you were talking about. And so we can be here as a community to say, hey, we're here to cheer you on. We're here to walk with you. We're here to problem solve. Your car died, let's give you a ride, right? Like we can meet those things in the short term, but we can also be working towards long-term change. So we have our programs. That's what everybody is familiar with. With Bible Club is what it started out with. We care about our families and our kids knowing the gospel. Reading Club, we care about our kids getting the chance to read and have tutoring, but have relationships, right? Teams, all of that. Advocating. So this is where you may have seen us share about the Birmingham Coalition for Student Mental Health. We just had the honor of working with the Ed Foundation and multiple other organizations throughout 2020 to be a part of surveying the community, listening to parents, listening to kids, hearing their real needs and desires for mental health care in the school system to be better. And so we've been a part of that coalition that is making recommendations to the school board, that is reaching out to the mayor's office saying, hey, can you get behind this? And to try to, again, give our kids a better support. We're looking at those numbers and the statistics of Birmingham City schools, especially in comparison to Birmingham Metro. There are inequalities there. And so we're a part of a new group that is saying, let's come together, let's organize, let's research, let's listen to parents, kids, teachers about their experiences. And let's not say this is somebody else's issue or this is a political issue. Let's say this is impacting our community and our kids, and we want to be a part of the change. And so we're a part of those kind of groups, advocating for a different future for our kids, right? Because honestly, most of our parents don't have the time that it takes to fight for equality for their kids. They don't have the energy or just the resources to go in every day and to be checking in and keeping school systems accountable, right? But we can come in as a community support ministry and we can leverage our resources to do that. And then development. We want to be a part of moving into the future where we're not just looking out for our kids, but we're saying we're here for the whole family. What do adults need in the community? What is needed to have flourishing, to have shalom in Marks Village? What economic opportunities are here? What counseling needs are here? What workforce development needs are here? all of that kind of stuff. What just community space is needed? What are things that when you're looking for a place to live, what are the things you look for to see a healthy community that you want to be a part of? How can we be a part of bringing that in here in Marks Village? So during the pandemic, this was an old video and it was done in a rush of a minute. And so forgive us for our poor video skills. But we are a part of the Christian Community Development, why can't I talk? CCDA, Christian Community Development Association, which is a national organization that is constantly working with organizations on the ground to see how does God changing us lead to changed communities. So we're working with them to learn about more community development, but to be a part of potentially a new push to have different business owners investing in Christian community development around America. And so we're a part of that. And this was a video that we had to put in really quick. We'll get it better. So not everybody has seen this yet, but this is just to give you guys a little picture, a little dream. Let's vision for the future here. I'm going to take out my earphones to make sure that you guys can hear it.
You want to see this? Hear it.
What's it doing? Hang on.
It's muted at the bottom.
There we go.
Director of Oak Tree Ministries, and this is our Oak Tree team. Rita and Megan, Randall, and Miss Wanda can't be here today, but we are a gospel-centered, trauma-informed community support ministry serving with the families in Marks Village.
Marks Village is Birmingham's largest public housing community, and unfortunately, it has the highest poverty and crime rates.
Well, outsiders know Marks Village for the negative reputation of the neighborhood. We know God is at work here, and Jesus also experienced judgment for his hometown. Can anything good come out of Marks Village?
As a ministry, in any program we have, we focus on relationships. We know trauma comes through broken relationships, and healing comes through restored relationships. We believe God brings unlikely people together at Oak Tree for mutual transformation.
At the beginning of this year, we were able to purchase and repair the building that we call our Treehouse. But as God continues to grow our team and ministry opportunities, we are already running out of space.
Through God's providence, we also own a large building just down the street, keeping with our priority of proximity to the community that God has called us to serve. We have already begun dreaming with our neighbors about how we can best use that space as we grow.
This is where you come in. Through our It Takes a Village initiative, we believe we could turn this empty warehouse into a hub for community development. What if neighbors could support neighbors by sharing gifts and skills right within their own neighborhood?
What if Marks Village wasn't known for the gun violence, but by the way the community supports one another through hard times?
What if the center could create jobs, family-friendly community space, therapy for holistic healing, and pipeline to homeownership?
Oak Tree's founding scripture passage is Isaiah 61. In verses 3 through 4, it says, "They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor. They will rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the places long devastated. They will renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations."
We hope you'll join us as we strive to live out God's promises in Isaiah 61, as we share the gospel in word and deed through the It Takes a Village initiative. Thank you.
Okay. So, yay, thank you for our poor little video with all the cars driving by. But we want to give you that picture of where we're going. The Bishop Building, the next steps. We are dreaming about things bigger for Marks Village than just after school programs, right? Those after school programs are going to always be the heart and the consistent thing of us. Like, we are here for the kids. The kids have stolen our hearts. We want to see this next generation raised up with support and knowing their opportunities, right? But we want to invite you. It takes a village. That includes you. That includes everybody who supports Oak Tree, who prays for us, who volunteers with us. You are a part of that. So even if you're stepping in for a once a week program or twice a month with Bible Club, or if you are making meals for Bible study groups, or if you're a monthly supporter or you're a prayer partner, you're a part of this bigger vision, because it takes a village. It's when the entire body is working with their gifts and all of the different parts and members that we can get to this future that we're dreaming of. So we're going to invite you to think about how you can join us. If you're watching this and you're not joining us already, you're thinking about it, you're praying about it, or you're just wanting to hear more about who Oak Tree is, or if you already volunteer with us, we want to encourage you and thank you and ask you to keep on in that. Ask where can you be using your giftings, and to thank you for being a part of that. But I want to give us this quote here, because this is one that I go back to a lot, just for encouragement. But take suffering seriously enough to get involved. If you're watching this, you're already doing that, right? Take suffering seriously enough to get involved, but take hope seriously enough to stay involved. The darkness has an expiration date. Because of the resurrection of Christ, justice, righteousness, and truth will rise again. And this is a quote by Micah Edmondson from a sermon that I was listening to a couple of years ago, I guess. But I just always go back to this. Take the hope seriously enough to stay involved, because that's where that's the battle. Because if you're in this work, it can become discouraging. And this is a long journey. We've been serving with families in Marks Village since 2012. That's where Bible Club started, right? This is a long race. We're dreaming about the future, though, and there is hope when we stay involved. So how will you use your passions, your skills, your resources to join us in what God is doing in Marks Village? So I'm going to give the team a chance to share a little bit specifics. Megan, like I said earlier, can't be on the call with us today, but she's our elementary coordinator. Everybody on the call knows her, but if you don't, if you haven't met her, wonderful, does all of our Bible club and our reading club. That during the summer, she's leading elementary workout time, and there's just constantly things going on to support our elementary kids. And if you've been with Oak Tree for a while, you see the difference that makes. As our older kids that have been with us forever, we have much deeper relationships with them as we've gotten them at a young age and get to support them early on. So she's focusing in on where are these developmental gaps, these the educational gaps, and how can we just through trauma-informed programs build trusting relationships to help our kids flourish. So if you want to get involved with the elementary programs, Megan will be the one that you connect with. I'll let Erin share a little bit about the teens.
Yeah, so for Teen Boys is what I'm directly in charge of and coordinating. And majority of the time, we just spend time connecting with the boys. And no matter whether you're a female volunteer or male volunteer, we would love to have you join us in on that. They will beat you in basketball every time, I guarantee it. They do me. If you have any of those skills, please email me. But also, right now, we're still continuing with the girls, teen girls program. We're gonna find someone to replace Parita, and we're pushing forward with Raquel and Megan and Karina. They're all kind of pulling together to do that one job. We've got some big shoes to fill there for that. Just be praying for us with that. But if you want to volunteer with the teen girls, I'm pretty sure they would love to have you and love to have you a part of that. Just contact me for that as well.
Yeah, thank you, Erin. And Erin does coordinate all of our volunteers. So if you're a current volunteer with us, you can reach directly out to any one of us, you know us and all that kind of stuff. But for any new volunteers, Erin will take you through that process of the application and background check and all of that. Okay, Randall, you want to share a little bit about Families Count and what we got going on with adults right now?
So yeah, Families Counts is something that we're currently in the process of trying to bring back to Oak Tree. I think we're looking at the fall, maybe early October or middle October. So that'll be me, Karina, my wife. But I do know we need mentors. That's one of the biggest requests right now. So yeah, it's just a holistic view of how God can just work in the family as a whole, not on an individual level. Like, so that's Family Counts. And right now we're currently doing Discovery Bible Study with the men. I think right now we're running about, I think we're doing about 6 right now on Sunday mornings. So kind of getting the breakfast budget a little up there right now, but it's okay. So yeah, so if anybody wants to be involved with it, we do Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock currently. So those are the programs that we are running right now. And just along with adult ministry, just the everyday things that comes with it. So yeah.
Thank you. And Karina, you want to share a little bit more about that? Yeah.
So, I mean, every day we have neighbors coming up just with like the issues that we saw with in this simulation, whether it's people needing rides to the store because they don't have transportation, or help with their applications for SNAP or housing, what have you. I'm just really just going through life, hearing some people just want someone to talk to on the day. So just being that listening ear. So, I mean, if you have a skill, let us know what it is and we will find a way to plug you in. Like, so yeah, just let us know what your skills are and what your assets are, and we will find a way to plug you in for sure.
And our Monday nights group has been back. So Karina and I lead Discovery Bible Study on Monday nights as well. And so really it started men's on Sunday mornings, women's Bible study Monday afternoons, but it's become co-ed and both on different days because of just bringing partners or different things. It's just been a sweet time of just gathering around a meal and just discovering Jesus together in the scripture. So that's been a sweet time. And so with that, you could, if you wanted to provide meals for those Bible studies or different times as we're growing, especially on Mondays, if you wanted to just be childcare support for Monday evenings, that would be a gift as well. But just another way, becoming a monthly supporter is something we just do not take for granted. All of you here and everyone who will watch this later who are monthly supporters, we just can't express how grateful we are for you of just investing in what God is doing and what we believe, how he wants to use Oak Tree. But that allows us to grow as a ministry. That allows us to plan for the future and to say, okay, we can do this. That allows us to take good care of our team members, to be able to, in 2020, we were able to, or well, I guess we started that at the end of 2019, but it started working to where we could offer health benefits to our staff members, because as we saw, our team is walking with neighbors in difficult things every day, and we want to make sure that they are taken care of. And so that's with healthcare benefits, and then also with mental health coverage, that we as a team are going to practice what we preach and say we're not going to tell our neighbors to go to counseling to deal with the trauma when we're not doing that ourselves. And so your monthly support allows us to do that, to be sustainable in this work as a ministry, and just sustaining in our own care, walking through trauma with neighbors. So we just thank you for that. And we want to, you are the reason that we are here and we get to do this. And then just learn with us, continue to pray and advocate with us as we have different opportunities in the future. But those things, just walking alongside saying, I don't know my part yet, or I don't understand all of it, but I'm here to learn, that we can do that together, that we can link arms. And your prayer is an incredible support to us. We have a summer prayer calendar where we want one person to be praying every day for us through the summer, and we still have some empty spots on that. So if you want to be a part of that, reach out and we can send that to you. You can find it on our social media pages, where you can sign up. And even advocating and sharing the word, like who needs to hear about Oak Tree that doesn't know about it yet? How can you share that and pass it on? And then fill in the blank, like Karina said. You've got a skill, you've got a passion. How can you use that? Reach out. It means a ton when you do that. And so we're just grateful we couldn't do this without you guys. And you are you're a part of the village. You're a part of this village that's growing together. I want to close this just by reading this blessing. Yeah, we'll jump off, but actually, does anybody have any questions before I fly through that? And if it's too many questions, you can reach out. We can set another time. But any general questions on what I know we just went through a bunch? Okay. All right. I'll read this and we will close. May God bless us with discomfort at easy answers, half truths, and superficial relationships, so that we may live deep within our hearts. May God bless us with anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that we may work for justice, freedom, and peace. May God bless us with tears to shed for those who suffer from pain, rejection, starvation, and war, so that we may reach out our hands to comfort them and to turn their pain into joy. And may God bless us with enough foolishness to believe that we can make a difference in this world, so that we can do what others claim cannot be done. Amen. Through the power of the Holy Spirit, we just pray it would be true. But thank you guys for joining us. Reach out if you have any questions, and we will see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you. I can't get off the screen. Sorry, y'all. Okay, stop share. Thanks, guys. Bye.